Welcome to the Legally Speaking podcast. I'm your host, Rob Hanna. This week, I'm delighted to be joined by Dayo Akinrinade. Dayo is the founder of Wisdom, a social audio app which connects knowledge seekers to mentors. Wisdom lets you talk about live experts on dozens of topics from wellness to business to food and fitness and beyond. Dayo has also aspired to fill diversity gaps, joining the founding team of One Tech and found Africa Click, a cultural dating app targeting 1 billion Africans globally. If that wasn't all enough, in 2019, Dayo was named Financial Times top 100 most influential ethnic minority leaders in tech. So a very, very warm welcome, Dayo. So Dayo, before we jump into all your amazing achievements and all you have done thus far throughout your career, we do have a customary icebreaker question here on the Legally Speaking podcast, which is, on the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very real, how real would you rate the reality hit TV series Suits in terms of its reality?
So I'm going to say that I think Suits has a lot to answer for depicting a very glamorous, exciting view of what it is to be a lawyer. And I think they have a lot of people, particularly young people, thinking it's all about arguing in court. I believe what barristers do. And a lot of people think that's what law is. I'm great at arguing and I'm going to be in court. So yeah, I think they have a lot to answer for, but at the same time, it's great because I think it does inspire a lot of younger people to go into law.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer, and it's a balanced answer, so we'll give it a 5 and we'll move swiftly on. So Dayo, I know you're very passionate about mentoring and it's something that's very important to you. Why is that so important to people potentially looking to break into industries or perhaps already in an industry looking to progress, especially in 2022 and beyond?
So I would say the importance of mentoring. There's a saying by E.O. Wilson, and it says, "We are drowning in information while starving for wisdom." And I do feel that with the internet today and social media, there's so many resources and we are drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. Mentorship, I think, it's very important to me because there have been various stages throughout my career where I really yearned for mentorship. I needed mentorship. I think I could have moved and progressed faster with the right mentorship, but I wasn't able to access it, particularly in my case, being a woman in tech, and not just a woman in tech, a Black woman in tech as well. There were particular situations that I needed guidance on from somebody who could relate to my intersectionality and who was perhaps at least maybe 8 years ahead, who had overcome certain situations. And those individuals, they didn't exist within my company. They didn't exist within the City of London. They didn't exist within my community. So for me, it was always that need and that yearning. I mean, similarly, of course, on Legally Speaking, I have so many friends and people within my network, Black British people who studied law, but today they're not lawyers. And it wasn't due to lack of grades. It wasn't due to lack of intelligence. It was to do with sort of access into training contracts and pupilages and navigating certain aspects. And, I think incidentally, a lot of them pivoted into compliance within the financial services industry, a lot of them, and, are doing well. But at the same time, they started with aspirations to go into law. And I understand, I believe that's not just limited to like my anecdotal experience. I believe even systemically the numbers also show this. So for me, mentoring, I think, is so key because spreading the knowledge and the access and bypassing this sort of warm introductions, I think it's a great step towards equity if we can give people equal access and equal opportunities to knowledge. It goes such a long way, right? I just think towards resolving the problem. And I just think it's very important for me that where I was challenged to access mentorship earlier on, I don't want that to be the case for future generations. And that's why I think it's important. And it's very, again, connected to, although wisdom is not just for, sort of careers, we have life coaches and musicians and Bitcoin experts, but because we're very focused on, as we said, mentoring and careers, I think it's critical. Young people will often have, they'll have an idea. I want to be a lawyer, oftentimes because they've seen something on television. I meet a lot of young people in interview who have studied criminology because they've watched CSI and that sparked their interest. But when they now sort of try to transition from the very practical, okay, what could you then do with this qualification? You need someone who has just that perspective in terms of the range of things. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? Go and do work experience for a week or so here. And yeah, so that's why it's very important to me.
Yeah, and I think it's great that you've identified the problem and you're doing something about it and doing something about it by scale. And, what you've done with Wisdom is absolutely tremendous. And I think it is going to help a lot of people because, as you say, that particular aspiring legal community or people who have done some legal studies and then just haven't been able to get that next level. And that's something we're really passionate about on the Legally Speaking podcast. And it's great that Wisdom exists because I think you're really going to help, so many people get access to the people they need to help them launchpad their careers and fulfill the dreams they see. We have a Suits question related to the show, where a lot of people watch the show and then they want to go on to be attorneys, lawyers, and so forth. So yeah, it's really cool that you mentioned CSI. I want to pick your brain in terms of what advice would you give to those who are looking to go and get a mentor right now?
So I would say, think of mentoring as the board of advisors, maybe for your company. So ideally, you don't just want one mentor. You want a number of people who are able to help you in different aspects of your life, not just one, which incidentally is also around, if we even connecting it back to Wisdom, where you can access a multitude of people. People often think it's one mentor, one sort of sensei person for everything, but that's a lot of pressure on one person. I also advise people, don't lead out of the gate with, I would like you to be my mentor. Don't do that. Lead with asking for advice on a particular thing. When you ask the question, build in within your question to evidence that you've done self-research and how far you've got. So I have a question around this. I've looked into this, this, and this. However, the part that I still that way you're demonstrating that you've done your best to help yourself, first, and you're resourceful. And, from there you can, they will be, I think, more willing to want to help.
Yeah, and again, such great advice. And let's maybe switch to the actual mentor now. We focused on obviously the benefits from sort of a mentee, but what advice would you give to those who want to become a mentor, and why should someone perhaps think about becoming a mentor?
Yes, so here it's interesting when I used to do diversity in tech consulting, and I would speak to senior leaders within companies, I would ask them a question. And I would say that outside of corporate life and work, how often do you socialize with somebody from a different social class to yourself? And I would ask them, how often do you socialize with somebody to a different ethnic group for yourself? And they would often pause and really, really struggle to think. And they either wouldn't know, or maybe there would be one other person. So I would say that two individuals who want to mentor and clearly have knowledge to give back and share, I would encourage them, try and mentor somebody who is outside of your social circle, outside of your socioeconomic group, outside of your ethnic group, because you're taking, in essence, you're opening up your network and you're just sort of cross-fertilizing to somebody who probably on a day-to-day basis would not have access to somebody with your set of expertise. And, that's the key advice I would give. And of course, I am connected to Wisdom, and I would say also make an account on Wisdom, because we have those individuals there. And it's easy. It's over social audio. All of the conversations are public. That makes it very, very, very safe. But that's the advice I would give.
Yeah, and it's such great advice, because I'm sure a lot of people listening in will reflect on that and think, actually, wow, maybe my circles aren't as expansive or as diverse as they perhaps could be or should be in many respects. So really appreciate you highlighting that point. Time for a quick break from the show. Are you a legal aid practitioner in England and Wales, specializing in civil or criminal legal aid matters? If you are, this message is for you. As a legal aid solicitor, you don't have time to waste on legal aid case management software that doesn't work to your needs. That's why Clio has developed a quicker, more accurate and affordable solution for legal aid solicitors in England and Wales. It could save you hours in your month, particularly when it comes to end of month invoicing and claims to the legal aid agency. To see how it all works, visit clio.com/UK/legal aid. That's Clio, CLIO.com/UK/legal aid. Now back to the show. And just sort of thinking back to our community of legal professionals, how can wisdom help people within the legal sector, whether it be from students looking to break into the legal industry or people firmly established in the profession?
So yes, I would say that for lawyers, social audio, it's a great opportunity to, first of all, build your personal brand and profile. And this is around thought leadership and perhaps wanting to be known for a particular area. I think that's one opportunity for social audio. I think it's also a great opportunity to for giving back and to sharing what you know and sharing your network and your expertise outside of your immediate circles. And I think that particularly speaks well in terms of mentoring people at the much earlier stages of their career, or people who maybe think they want to go into the legal profession. I think from a sales perspective, or particularly B2C, I think there's a great opportunity with social audio for law firms, particularly perhaps in the SME, small and medium sized, to serve and lead with advice. And I think we know when you lead with advice and you lead with service, that's a great way to fill your funnel in terms of potential clients later. I absolutely think, particularly into small to medium sized firms, I think today, at least from my perspective, the route to market is either the website or it seems to be personal recommendations. But why not have an open clinic legal hour advice, obviously heavily caveated with all of the right things in there, and hear people having that with all the right things in there. There's a great legal hour on LBC London. I don't know if you listen to it or anyone does on London Talkback Radio. There's a great legal hour there where they drop in, and even if they're talking about consumer rights or family law or things like that, there's a massive opportunity in the social audio space, I believe, for a law firm to be known as the firm that's, that is connected to the people. And why aren't they offering 15-minute slots just to give high level opinions? And then, from there, of course, I'm sure, relationships and business and clients will come from that. So yeah, I think in summary, it's a great opportunity to build personal profile, for firms to build profiles, to give back and pre-mentor the next generation, and to lead with advice and turn that into sales.
Yeah, and I think such a great answer because, it's like you were saying, it's a great way to get yourself out there, lead off the front foot, you'll showcase that thought leadership and good things will happen. I always think if you do good things will happen. And as you say, there'll be clients and opportunities that will come off the back of that inevitably. Just in terms of the broader social audio space, where do you see this going in the future?
So I feel with digital communication, I think like text sometimes is not enough. Video is sometimes too much because you've got to look good. Your home's got to look good. And I feel like audio, social audio, it's just right in the middle of text and in the middle of video. I think this desire for human connection is not going to go away. I think we have a desire for human connection beyond text. But then a lot of us have fatigue from too many video calls. So again, I see audio sitting in this sweet spot between texting and Zooming, kind of right in the middle. I think there's going to be, I predict there's going to be a really exciting convergence between traditional radio and podcasts and live drop-in social audio. I can't say what exactly it's going to look like yet, but I do think there's going to be a sort of like a confluence and something exciting is gonna happen there. I think also, and I think audio is just going to become more and more important. I think eventually, and these things are being developed in the works, audio will become searchable now. So when we Google, we're primarily looking for text, maybe a little bit video. Soon, I think audio as well, it's going to be, just searchable, more indexed. And I think audio it's absolutely here to stay.
I completely agree, and I love how you've kind of highlighted that sweet spot, because you're absolutely right. There's a lot less friction with audio versus video, and as you say, a text maybe just isn't enough of a connection, or you don't know when you're going to get a response back. However good you are at wording things, you don't have that in the moment discussion. So I'm a massive fan of social audio. I'm a massive fan of Wisdom. I love what you're doing. I'm excited for the future journey and how it is going to help so many knowledge seekers and connect them with people that they would never typically have access to. So before we wrap up, do you have any advice for people who perhaps are completely new to social audio but want to venture into the whole social audio space?
Yeah, so I would say absolutely. First of all, go to the Apple Store and download Wisdom, and Apple right now, Android within a few months. But generally, once you're onto the platform, or indeed any social audio platform, start out by listening, get a feel of that platform and the community, and just the energy. So I would say start out by listening, then progress to guesting on other people's talks. You can guest for a while. Also, from guesting on people's talks, you will make relationships. Those will be people who will then in turn join your talks. I would also advise people to be targeted. Social audio can be addictive. You can find yourself having, in a way that's part of the serendipity and why you love it. Like I can log on to Wisdom and I'll be speaking about parenting or civil rights or metaverse. And on one hand, I think it's important if you're coming in for a sort of business focus, like try not to get sort of sucked into the matrix, even though like it's really fun. It can be really fun. But if you have a particular purpose, ensure you're stay focused on that. And then finally, you're first of all, you're listening, then you're guesting, then go live and do your first talk. Don't worry about it. People worry. What if nobody joins me? What if I sound silly? Doesn't matter. If you don't like the talk afterwards, delete it. Then it doesn't exist anymore. And just go live, be yourself. And then I also advise people, it's great to have a focus area. And when you're thinking of content to create as well, oftentimes I remind people you can start with your own story. We often take our personal stories for granted because we know them and we think, oh, why is that special? But people want to know. If Rob was to give a talk, how I became a lawyer, it sounds so simple, but people want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Younger people who have that question, well, how do you get into certain things? So I also want to remind people, start with your origin story. Somebody out there wants to hear it.
Yeah, no, and I love that answer once again, Dayo, because you're right. Sometimes people oversight. Everybody has a story, everyone has a brand, everyone has an opportunity. So Wisdom is giving people that space to go and get the knowledge, and also to showcase and share stories and build community, which I think is wonderful. So Dayo, if people want to get in touch, and I'm sure they will, because you've achieved so much, you're doing so many amazing things, Wisdom is just going from strength to strength, what's the best way for people to get in touch? Or feel free to shout out any websites or social media handles, and we'll also make sure we share them with this episode for you too.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, if people are looking for the app itself, on the App Store, the Apple Store, if you search for Wisdom, we will come up, and that is for iOS, and for Android, probably by mid-year, we will have that available. To find out more about Wisdom itself, our website is wisdom.audio, and you will also find us at Wisdom on all the usual LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, which will link. And if you want to reach myself personally, the best thing to do is to go to wisdom.audio, and we have a contact form there. And if you fill that out, eventually that will filter through to me. And then for myself personally, I'm on Twitter at Dayo AKK, also at Instagram, and we'll send the links so people will be able to find them.
Yeah, Dayo is omnipresent and just providing so much value across all of the social media space. So thank you so much, Dayo, for coming on. I've really enjoyed today. It's been a real pleasure having you on. Wishing you and everyone involved at Wisdom under your leadership lots of continued success. But from all of us on the Legally Speaking podcast for now, over and out. This week's review comes from Adam North. Great informative podcast. 5 stars. I love the Legally Speaking podcast. I feel it finds the balance between being informative and lighthearted really well. Great guests within the legal sector as well. Thank you so much, Adam. We really appreciate all your kind words from all of us on the Legally Speaking podcast. Thanks a million once again.